Hey boys and girls, I'm so glad you joined me today. I've got a really cool thing to show you today. It's called the elephant toothpaste demonstration. I don't have any elephants, I'm afraid. I would kind of like to have an elephant around just to see what it was like. And we're not making toothpaste, but what we're going to make is a chemical reaction that looks like elephant toothpaste because there's lots of foam and bubbles, and it should be fun to see. So let's take a look at the experiment first, and then we'll try and figure out what exactly happened here. And we'll talk about how you can do it at home if you have a parent with you, because this is an experiment that uses something that could irritate your skin, so it's not something you want to do by yourself. But it's super fun. You ready? So what we need is some hydrogen peroxide. Now you could try it with the hydrogen peroxide that you might have at home, but for an elephant toothpaste, you need a much stronger hydrogen peroxide. And so I bought this from Sally's Beauty Supply, and it's a very concentrated hydrogen peroxide. I think it's used in lightening hair color. Anyway, it's called Salon Care Professional 20 Volume Clear, and it's a really strong hydrogen peroxide. You also need dish soap, you need food coloring, and you need yeast and some warm water and a container. So let's try it. All right, so first we're going to set up the experiment. We have a couple things that we have to prepare before we can mix the two parts together and get the elephant toothpaste. So I'll show you. We'll go ahead and do the first one. All right, so I've set my funnel down in my container. It's really nice if you have a cylindrical, maybe a mason jar or something kind of cylindrical, but you could do it in anything. And I'm going to pour in a half cup of my hydrogen peroxide. And again, this is the more concentrated version. You could give this a try with the hydrogen peroxide that's in your medicine cabinet that you use to clean wounds. It's usually in a brown bottle. Okay. So now I'm going to add in 10 drops of food coloring. Okay, that's about right. Now just like 2 big squirts of dish soap. 1, 2. All right, and now I'm going to swish it around a little bit to mix it all up. All right, and in a second container, I want to have yeast and water. So I'm going to, it says that it's like 1 part yeast to 3 parts water. So I'm going to measure. I'm not sure how much yeast is in these packages. And I probably want about a couple of tablespoons. So let's see. Well, it looks like 1 package has about almost a tablespoon. So I use 2 packages. And then 6 tablespoons of warm water. Not super hot, just lukewarm. Have you ever worked with yeast much? Have you ever made bread? It has a really interesting smell. Some people like the smell and some people don't. I kind of like it. It reminds me of when I've baked bread, because yeast is in bread. All right, so you're going to take a little while and stir that up. Some people like to say it has the consistency of melted ice cream when you're done. Okay, are we ready? Okay, here we go. Whoa! Wow! Look at that. Good gracious, do you see what I mean about toothpaste? Woo! If you were to do this experiment, I would not suggest that you put your hands in there because there may be some hydrogen peroxide that is still unreacted and could irritate your skin. But if you were to touch the container, you would find that it's warm. And that means something. That tells us that it has produced heat. So we call that an exothermic reaction. Let's watch that again. That's pretty cool. It's still happening though. You can see bubbles are still rising up out of there. Whoa! Wow! Look at that. Whoa! So what happened? Do you know what happened? We had hydrogen peroxide and food coloring, which shouldn't affect anything, and some dish soap, and we added in water and yeast. Have you ever had a wound and your parents cleaned it with hydrogen peroxide? As I said before, that's a real weak solution of hydrogen peroxide. This is a much more concentrated solution. But hydrogen peroxide, when it touches blood, because of the catalase in your blood, this enzyme, it breaks the hydrogen peroxide down into oxygen and water. And the oxygen is what you see bubbling on your skin when that hydrogen peroxide is wiped on there. It's the hydrogen peroxide breaking apart into those two things, water and oxygen. Well, in this reaction, we didn't have blood, did we? But we did have yeast, and yeast is also a catalyst, which means it speeds a reaction up. So when the yeast hit the hydrogen peroxide, that hydrogen peroxide broke down really fast into water and oxygen, and all that oxygen bubbled up and came out of the flask, and it's still bubbling up. So I hope you enjoyed the experiment. If you want to try it at home, you could try it with the hydrogen peroxide you might have around and just see if it reacts at all. I bet it will react some. It may not be as impressive as elephant toothpaste as this experiment, but I bet you'll see a reaction. And if you really want to try this yourself, you could always ask your parents to help you, and you would just need to buy a more concentrated version, and I'll write that exact product that I used in the description of the video. I enjoyed it, and I hope you did too. I hope you have a great day.